Yo, what's up, family? It's Mil Jackson. Thanks for checking out my channel. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button and the notification bell. I'm trying to make my channel grow, and I can't do it without your help. Matter of fact, the Cash App is down in the description below. If you want a worthy cause to donate to, why not make it this channel? But in this video, we're going to check out Fred Mmembe. He's the president of the Socialist Party of Zambia. This guy, he's dropping nothing but heat and headshots at America. If you've never heard this guy speak before, oh, you in for a thrill. Now get ready for this roller coaster ride of truth coming straight from Fred. Check it out.
Those territories are occupied by human beings. How can you respect human beings when you don't respect the territories which they occupy? How can you respect a human being when you don't respect the privacy of their home, the dignity of their home? A homeland is something very important to any human being. Every human being on this planet has a homeland. The homeland is their house. It's their home. That's why it's called homeland. You don't just get into somebody's house. You don't just get into somebody's country and interfere. If you don't respect the sovereignty of a territory, you cannot respect the human being who lives in that territory. You cannot claim to be committed to their democratic rights. You cannot claim to be committed to their human rights.
Now, just right there, he just said it's not a democracy. He basically calling America invaders, man. Invaders and persuaders. Whew, this dude right here.
What are human rights without a homeland? What are human rights or democracy without sovereignty? When your rights can be trampled on, when your leaders can be toppled anytime, when your leaders can be killed anytime.
Did he just call America killers? I know I didn't hear that right. I know, wait a minute. I know he didn't just say that.
Look at what they did to Saddam Hussein. Look what they did to Muammar Gaddafi in Libya. Look at what they do to other people's leaders. Look even at the attitude, the arrogance towards other people. They never respect the leaders of other countries.
Interesting point you mentioned about respect for sovereignty. Part of the justification for the U.S. invasion of Iraq is to plant the seed of democracy in the.
Now let's make no mistake. They're talking about the U.S. He's talking about the U.S. Don't make no mistake about who he's talking about, because they just said U.S. right there with the questioning from this guy right here.
Middle East, in addition to the so-called non-existent weapons of mass destruction. Is there a full-fledged democracy in Iraq now?
We have 20 years. Iraq today is ungovernable. It's a failed state. Since the murder of Muammar Gaddafi, is Libya today more democratic? Since 2011? Is Libya today more organized? Is Libya today more stable?
So it sounds like to me that he's saying that when the U.S. go in and spread so-called democracy, they're unstabilizing countries. I think he's being sarcastic, but he's being serious at the same time about what happens when U.S. supplants certain leaders or targets certain leaders and takes them out. Man, this guy is really saying it and this is from an African perspective.
It's a failed state. Wherever they have been, there are problems. Have they brought peace and stability and democracy and respect for human rights to Syria? Without the intervention of the Russians, where would Syria be today? They would have overrun that people. How many countries has the USA toppled? How many coup d'etats have they carried out? How many assassinations of leaders of other countries have they carried out? How many citizens of other countries have they killed?
Whew.
How many citizens of other countries have they arrested and detained and released without charges?
Well, in addition to the lack of respect for sovereignty or abuse of human rights, what about the record of the human rights record inside the USA?
Look at the treatment of black people.
George Floyd?
Yes.
Uh-oh. They about to go in. Did they say George Floyd? Here we go. They done struck a nerve. It's about to get deep.
And when did black people start voting in America? The USA became independent in 1776. When did black people who were taken there against their will, when were they given the right to vote?
I can make an easy answer to that. Slavery didn't end to 1865, technically. So if he's talking about 1776, 1865, then we do a little bit of math and you come up with, hey, and some people say 1867. Then you got Juneteenth. But that's a whole nother issue. Come on, we're just going to let them talk. Go ahead, Fred. We listening.
It's not very long ago. Can you claim equal rights for black people in America? Go to American jails today. The majority of the inmates are black people. In a country where the blacks are a minority, but in prison they're the majority. Why? Are black people generally bad people? Is there something that can be done about that?
It's more than human rights issue. It's a racism.
Yes, they're racist. Part of the hatred.
My boy said it's a racism. Sheesh.
Yeah. It's racism. They cannot accept that a country that is non-white can surpass them economically and in so many areas of human achievements, of human endeavor. They can't accept that. But it is happening. It's unstoppable.
Human rights, it seems also is a bit controversial sometimes when it comes to the definition. For example, some countries or some people would stress the fundamental rights to access to clean water, health, decent living standard, etc. Others, mostly Western nations, they would stress very much about the political rights, like the rights to casting a ballot or voting in the procedure, procedure of practicing democracy. What's your point?
When people go to vote, who do they vote for? Do they vote for themselves? Do they vote for other people? When it comes to other rights like access to clean water, access to food, who do they feed? Do they feed themselves? Do they put water in their own mouths or in the other person's mouths? They care about voting because those poor people do not vote for themselves, they vote for them. They don't set a political agenda for themselves, they follow an agenda set for them. When it comes to the things that really matter, to food, to water and other things, it's about those individuals. So they don't care about those individuals. When a black person votes in America, who is he voting for? When a black person is eating in America, who is he eating for? In whose mouth does he put food? He's not putting food in Biden's mouth, but when it comes to vote, he's voting for Biden. So the vote matters because it's going to Biden. The food doesn't matter because it's going into that poor black person's mouth.
Globally,
Hey, that was kind of a weird take on it. You know what I'm saying? Because when I think about America and I think of America feeding other countries and stuff, here as an American, I don't know, sometimes we say we got a lot of homeless here we need to feed. We feeding people around the world. So I don't know so much. I don't know if I could ride with that America don't feed anybody. Yeah, but the way he flipped it and put it about like, okay, but when you eating, it's going into your mouth. So if they put food in your mouth, that's cool, but you giving them the vote. And the vote is really power because you're going to have power over the people, whether they eat or not. Now let's get into another speech given by Fred Mmembe, where he's going in, shooting shots. Once again, check it out.
A country that has toppled so many governments in Africa, that has led so many coups in Africa and other parts of the world, a country that has killed so many of our leaders in Africa and other parts of the world, the killers of Patrice Lumumba, those who toppled Kwame Nkrumah, those who killed Nasser, those who killed Muammar Gaddafi, today are coming to teach us about democracy. A country that has been built on brutal force, on enslavement of other human beings, on the humiliation of Africans, the exploitation of Africans, the plunder of Africa, today is coming to teach us about democracy.
That boy said democracy. He talking about democracy. That's crazy though. Man, he named some powerful names. Don't act like you didn't hear that.
That's the arrogance, the imperialist arrogance, the racist arrogance that we are subjected to. We cannot have democracy where there is hegemony of the strongest, mightiest imperialist power. We cannot have democracy where a country's resources, a country's decisions are dictated to by another country. A country that is dominated by another country cannot be democratic.
Now, I heard what he just said. Now, he said a country that's dominated by another country cannot be democratic. Now, it's a slippery slope when you say something like that, because if you mention another country that could possibly dominate you, then that's kind of a hypocritical statement. So you got to be careful, Fred. I got to give you a little pushback, buddy.
A country that lacks sovereignty cannot be democratic. A people that cannot decide for themselves cannot be democratic. A colony, a neo-colony cannot be democratic. That's why today, even at the United Nations, membership is on the basis of sovereignty. Only sovereign nations can be members of the United Nations, because only sovereign nations can decide for themselves. A colony cannot be a member of the United Nations. It's not by accident. It's not a mistake. If you have no respect for the dignity of others, if you have no respect for the sovereignty of other countries, you cannot claim to be a champion of democracy.
So you trying to say America ain't got no respect? I don't know, man. I kind of hear what you're saying, but just to say they don't have no respect, I don't know. That's reaching a little bit. But I feel you. I feel you a little bit, but man, I don't know.
They used to say all roads lead to Rome. Today we can confidently say all roads to progress, all roads to what is better for humanity lead to Beijing.
Woo! He said all roads lead to Beijing, so he choosing sides. Man, they done chose up in Zambia. That's kind of deep. But anyway, it's Mill Jackson Reaction. I appreciate y'all watching my channel. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button. Or better yet, you can hit me on the Cash App. I'm trying to get my channel to grow. Something to think about, one to grow on. And I'm out.